Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to my presentation. This is Oscar Moreno Casallas. I'm an environmental engineer, and this is to achieve the second master's degree with the TFM titled Multi-Criteria Decision Analysis (MCDA) for selecting renewable energy sources in urban areas, a comprehensive review. This is, like I said, for the Master in Decision Making and Innovation, presented in Madrid on July of 2025. Okay, so let's begin. The energy, it's highly on demand nowadays, and every day with the populational growing, it will continue being on demand, even more than nowadays and more than in the past. Basically, the urban areas are the largest energy consumers and greenhouse gas emitters, and that basically means the pollution and contamination is mostly concentrated in cities and big urban areas. The shift to renewable energy is essential for sustainable urban development and the humanity itself. Remember, the urban energy planning involves complex multi-criteria decision making. That's what I'm going to explain within this final project. Traditional planning tools lack of flexibility for modern challenges. Remember, the energy is something that moves the world, and sometimes we get outdated with different dynamics and stuff. Okay. Oh, sorry, was just moving. Then we can see here and recognize the different renewable energy sources. We have biomass, wind, solar, hydroelectric, and geothermal energy. When we talk about renewable energy sources, we are talking about clean energy. So basically, this will have lower or none impact to the environment. And second, will have a really good cost benefit for the energy value. Okay, so why are we trying to use the multi-criteria decision analysis for our selecting renewable energy sources in an urban area project, of course? Um, Basically because it integrates the technical, economic, and environmental and social factors that every project should have in any country, not only in developed countries, also in countries in way of development. This also enables sustainable decisions under uncertainty and supports diverse stakeholder values and preferences. We can see here in the schema. Basically, we have a problem or a situation to resolve. We have to include the sustainability criteria. We include or propose any MCDA method to attend these criteria, and we use our stakeholders or people involved in the project so we can answer who, how, and when we will do this. What are the objectives and research questions on this project then? My goal was to evaluate how MCDA is being applied in urban renewable energy planning. The main questions I addressed were which MCDA methods are most used, what criteria are prioritized in urban contexts, and how well do these studies align with sustainability goals such as the SDG and social equity. Then we jump directly into the methodology. I conducted a systematic literature review based on Prisma guidelines. I screened publications from Scopus, Web Science, and Science Direct. After applying inclusion criteria, I selected 46 relevant studies, then performed a thematic coding and comparative analysis to identify trends, gaps, and the best practices in MCDA use. So here we have the Prisma flow diagram. At the beginning, the gross database gave me 432 records identified with the keywords MCDA, renewable energy sources, urban areas, and development of energy projects. Basically, these records were taken between 2003 and 2023. After that, I removed some duplicates and we got 356 records. After that, we did the screening and I saw many of them with not reliable or relevant information. So at the end, we excluded 212. After that, we got 144 full text articles assessed and 80 and for those 144 articles, I got 86 text article excluded. So at the end, I got 46 final studies included in this review. It's such a really good um, filtering, so we can have the best information possible for what we need according to these project guidelines. Okay, so here, what are the principal MCDA methods compared? Basically, and in most of the literature, we found AHP, which means analytic hierarchy process, good for stakeholder wiki. That's one of the skills. The TOPSIS, technique for order preference by similarity. That's one is very good for ranking alternatives. We have the Promethe, that means preference ranking. It's complex but detailed in preference for analysis. Remember, and this is something that I explained very in detail or very deeply on the project in the grading project. The method choice depends on data, context, and goals. You don't have to measure or to create something that is overwhelming the solution or undergoing with the solution. We have to be accurate to answer the question, or where are we going, why are we going there, and who is going there for what. You can also see on the screen the MCDA method type classified according complexity, transparency, stakeholder involvement, GIS integration or geographic integration system, and the computational demand. Remember that we are always mentioning AHP, Promethe, and TOPSIS as the most common um, methods for the MCDA. However, we also include here the electric and Beaker to compare um, how the variation is between them. Just to clarify, Electra and Beaker are promising and underused methods for urban sustainability context and could be part of the future reviews for hybrid MCDA approaches. These methods are only mentioned but not found in most of the literature. Okay, so what are the key findings? Most of the studies prioritized economic, environmental, and technical criteria. However, the social equity and stakeholder participation was often missing. Many papers lacked transparency in how methods were applied, although the Sustainable Development Goals were referenced. They were rarely integrated into decision criteria in a concrete way. This is very important to mention because the SDGs have to be the focus of the project of the program. We know that we have some outdated literature already, but we also have very recent one. And it's very weird and actually surprising that in the most recent literature, the SDG is only mentioned but not operationalized. So we have to change the focus, and that's something I will give as a recommendation at the end. And basically, we can see here, sorry, the criteria category and the frequency of this category in the studies we selected. Economic criteria in 85% of the studies, technical criteria in 70%, environmental in 60%. And like I mentioned, social policy and energy output and scalability just with 40 and 35% respectively. Okay, basically, what are the recommendations after having the entire literature review and this comprehensive investigation? The first recommendation I can do is to combine the MCDA methods for robust outcomes. We can have different point of views and different outcomes uh, depending on the criteria used. As well, we have to engage the stakeholder in every phase, not in the development phase or in the closing phase or in the execution phase, because I think having everyone focused from the beginning indeed kind of incurring to additional costs. But what is more important is to have everyone aware of the topic, so everyone knows what we are doing, for what, and through what reason or method. Also, use clear justification for the method selection. and integrate the SDG targets and indicators directly into criteria. Let's remember we have here our sustainable development goals, and this project was mainly focused on the number 7 and number 11, affordable and clean energy like the renewable energy, and sustainable cities and communities. Remember, this is also quality of life for the communities if they have good energy, and most important in countries with a higher poor index. What are the conclusions? In conclusion, the MCDA is a valuable tool for navigating the complexity of urban energy decisions, but its potential is not fully realized. There is clear need for more inclusive, transparent, and sustainability aligned applications, especially if cities are to meet their climate and equity goals effectively. Definitely, according to the geographic information system and the case of use for each project, we will have to select one or other project or criteria for the project, sorry. Uh, but this will be being or going so much into detail. Uh, the rest of information is in the literature, but just to clarify or just to conclude, um, all the stakeholders' involvement has to be increasingly common, but in some of the projects, according to the project management timeline, we involve ones at the beginning, others at the middle, or some others at the end. So basically, as a conclusion and recommendation would be once again to include them all across or along the project. Now, I won't read what is on the screen because you can definitely read them, and I don't think it's respectful with you all. I will jump into the questions since we don't have so much time. I understand the question. The first question done by the tribunal, respected tribunal, was given the diversity of MCDA methods like AHP, TOPSIS, and Prometheus, how did your systematic review assess their contextual suitability, and what criteria did you use to evaluate their effectiveness in urban energy planning? Which my answer is going to be um, we have here the contextual suitability that was assessed by comparing data demands. Remember, it's not the same data availability in a small city or country under development that in the first world, United States, Europe, the information is very different. The stakeholder involvement capacity, same affections over here, depending on the project or the country. Ranking transparency and flexibility to urban challenges. So basically, to evaluate method suitability, sorry, I compared how each technique handles data needs, stakeholder inclusion, transparency, and adaptability, which means the AHP criteria was the best for capturing a stakeholder input. The TOPSIS worked well for ranking energy alternatives, and the Prometheus allowed more nuanced analysis but was underutilized, likely due to its complexity. Sorry. This means we are going to jump into the second question now. The second question was, based on your findings, what are the key barriers preventing the integration of social equity and SDG alignment into current MCDA practices, and how can future applications overcome these limitations? Oh, I'm sorry, I just closed this. Sorry, let me just jump real quick. Okay, I was going to answer this question real quick. So one of the major barriers for the SDG integration is the lack of clear social and equity data. Also, technical performance is often prioritized over sustainability outcomes. Solutions include involving communities in defining criteria, mapping goals to local indicators, and using MCDA to communicate policy trade-offs more clearly. Basically, we have always a social barrier, and that means directly involve money because it's not the same including an energy project in, let's say, Africa than in Spain. It's not the same involving this project in Latin America than in the United States. It's always uh, a lot of factors collated in the literature presented in this project that we have to keep in mind so we can accurate address the need and find a solution for the problem or situation. With this being said, I thank you very, very much for being here, for your attention. I am more than glad to present my TFM this way. I understood we had to be very quick and act fast for this project at the end of the presentation. And I just wanted to thank you all for the opportunity of achieving this final master title. And thank to Fundación Universidad Empresa for the excellent professors, good teachers, really, really good administration process. And it was my pleasure being here. And I am definitely encouraging peers and known people to apply in Talentoteca so they can also achieve goals like I did through this program. So once again, thank you very much. I'm very grateful of being here, and I will see in the road for sure. Wish you all the best in your lives and tons of success. Goodbye.